Yeah. No, that's been a great thing about it, is that I go back and I'm like, man, we're a bunch of idiots. I'm like, who would listen to this drabble? Who would tune into this? It's insane.
Hello and welcome to the show with no name. I am B, aka Brendan. He is Daniel. So Daniel, every year, kind of circa about kind of New Year's is when kind of the hype starts happening, and then a little bit afterwards. And I think the actual ceremony itself isn't until a few months later. But every year, kind of in January, mid-January to early January, the Oscar nominations come out.
Oh my gosh.
And it tends to be a big thing in the United States of America, right? So they have like these big Oscar parties and Oscar polls and who's going to win what award and blah, 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 blah. And it's a big
I'm an Oscar expert, right?
Yeah, no, and this is exactly why this is the topic of the day. And this is exactly why I'm the host asking you, because I am not an Oscar
I'm
expert.
totally being sarcastic. I know nothing about the Oscars.
See, this is I just find this to be such a bizarre and funny thing about this is that you and I are both like quote unquote film buffs, but we don't even go to the movies.
You know, I knew we were going to come back to the topic of movies. We talked about previews in an earlier episode, and I just knew movies was going to come back. But anyway, I'll let you continue. What's the question for today?
So here is my question for you. What are your favorite opening title credits to films? Okay, so it has to be, here's the caveats. It has to be film, motion movie picture. It can be a cartoon like Akira, but it can't be like a cartoon like Flintstones. It can't be a television show. It has to be a film, and it has to have the credits in it. So you can't say Star Wars, because Star Wars, those opening scenes do not have credits. They have the crawl, and then they have a spaceship. So the actual opening of the movie has to have its credits in it. So it's got credits that are involved in it. Maybe it's the film's going on. It started, but the credits are showing, or there's a credit sequence of like art, music going on.
Oh, okay. Wow, I am like racking my brain right now. Because
Really?
so I have a few.
Okay.
I have a few already at the top of my head. I have two at least. But I don't want to say them because I'm trying to think of more, because I don't want to get to the end of my two and be like, all right, that was 2 minutes of content. Thanks for listening in. I'm done. I don't have anything else. I hope you have more questions.
So I have a list of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But you got time
12.
to think about this.
Yeah, no, because I knew what the topic was. So
exactly.
I got
So
12
again, for the people who you may be catching us for the first time, for the most part, I mean, just for now, we don't really have much of a structure for this show. It's kind of simple. It's just one person has a topic. The other person has no idea what the topic is about. And it makes for pleasant conversation, kind of like, I don't know, like what you would talk about with somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. Like, hey, what do you think about this? I've been really into this lately. Let me tell you about it. And then you tell me what you think. Well, I'm prepared. So I hope you're okay for a bunch of silence, because I'm just going to sit here and not say anything. But I do have a few. And one I actually recently saw. I don't necessarily recommend this movie for the kiddos. It is rated R.
That's fine. We're just talking about, like, this is no recommendation on whether the film itself is actually good. We're just saying that we really enjoyed the way that the opening title credits were done.
So I agree with you on that, but in one aspect, I also feel like I feel like it's also important to kind of tie into the genre or the film, itself, and how it plays off of the film. I feel like is important too.
Agreed.
So I just thought I would, before I recommend, or not necessarily recommend, but before I actually start listing off
your nominees,
these title sequences. Is this really an Oscar nomination?
No,
this is an Oscar you can win.
I don't think so. So we're making.
Is there an Oscar for opening?
This is ours. We're making up our own category for Oscar.
Okay. So this is the show with no name Oscar.
That's exactly right. There's only one category.
We don't call it the Oscar
so far.
What would we give them?
There's no name for it. Here's your no name award.
Oh, there's no name. Here's your no name award. Your no name award. The no name award. You know what? Just for that, I kind of want to have a no name award.
No,
now.
what we do is we give them a Texas Waffle.
Oh my gosh.
You better consume that within the next 48 hours, because it won't be
good anymore. You won't be able to put this up on the wall or in your trophy case.
Unless you laminate it.
Yeah, you can laminate it. You know those I really don't want to get way off topic, but Do you want to know what always bugs me about like food and stuff like that is when you go to like a restaurant and they have, like food sitting out so you can kind of see what things to order, but it's fake food.
Yes.
It's like plastic.
Yeah.
That always bugs me.
Why does that bug you?
I don't know, because I look at it and I recognize that it's not real, but sometimes they make it look so realistic that I want to go up and just like touch it. And I'm like, is that real? And one of these days, I know it. One of these days I'm actually going to touch it. And it's like, they just put it out there just for the day, just so people can see. And I'm going to stick my finger through the ice cream scoop. And I'm going to be like, oh, that's a real ice cream.
So at
I
Olive
will
Garden,
take that Sunday now.
we had a tray for the desserts, like tiramisu, the cheesecake and whatever. And it was all made out of butter.
So you should have probably preferenced with you worked at Olive Garden before.
I did, didn't I say? I said when I worked at Olive Garden.
No, you just said at the Olive Garden.
Oh, so this was years and years. This was decades ago, and that was it. And so that you could bring out the tray of dessert so people could see it, and they were literally it was all. So if you touched it or pushed it, it would leave these indentations in
Disgusting.
it and everything like that. Yeah, it's butter, but it looked. I mean, you looked at it and you'll go like, wow, that looks just like.
Why did they use butter?
Chocolate mousse or whatever. Because it maintained its shape and it wouldn't melt.
Butter melts?
Yeah, okay.
So
it was more like a butter
sweet
sweet cream
like
kind of thing. Yeah, but it's kind of a sweet cream butter.
I see what you're saying.
Whereas it wouldn't and it's not like we just go like, hey, we're going to hang this under a heat lamp. The restaurant was air conditioned and we should be talking about opening movie titles.
This is exactly why we shouldn't be giving out awards and we shouldn't be talking about the Oscars because we couldn't stay on topic. They would, and the nominees are, hey, did I tell you this great story about the tiramisu that was made of butter? It was
you imagine
not very tasty.
Our acceptance speeches, if we ever got it, the only awards we would get would be like the Raspies or so. Yeah, if they're like, hey, I just want to thank everybody for oh man, that chick in the third row, your hair is bugging, girl. What is up with that?
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me get back. Let's ring this back in. Let's go back to your topic. I have two off the top of my head that I can think about.
Go for it.
And one of them, and again, I'm going to preference it with I don't necessarily think this is a movie for the kiddos. It is rated R for a reason. I think you've seen the movie before, and I think we may have even discussed the movie before. But it's an older movie by is his name? It's David Fincher. Right? It's Fincher, not Finch.
Finch. I think it's Finch. David.
It is just Finch?
I think it's Finch.
So David Finch, the opening sequence to Seven, the movie, is really well done.
Yes, agreed.
If you know anything about the movie, even not knowing much about the movie, you go into the movie is about a serial killer. I mean, I'm not really ruining that. You could see trailers in it. You're going to get that right off the top. But it's about a serial killer, and it's about two detectives who are trying to hunt him down, Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt. I think it's a good movie, but it's definitely rated R for a reason. And because of that, I can't necessarily put my Texas Waffle stamp of approval on it and say, everyone go see this movie because, watcher beware. There's a lot of swearing and violent images and a lot of sexual themes and things like that.
Yeah,
so you just have to be careful.
It's more so it's like a horror mystery.
It's almost like a horror mystery.
The serial killer
that might
is
be a
not
why.
Your typical like, hey, I'm just going to go and chop somebody's head off. He does these very disgusting, licentious sort of.
Yeah, again, I didn't want to dive too much down that. All I wanted to say is that the opening sequence to the movie, where they go through the credits and they show the characters, it's basically just an overview of the serial killer at his work, and you're just seeing his hands working on things, and the music that they use, and the way that the words are like glitchy and they move around and stuff like that. Just it's very raw. And you dive into the movie right away.
Yeah, he's
I'm
like
I haven't
out
even
newspaper clippings and things. Yeah.
It's like I'm not even in the movie yet, and I'm already excited about the movie because I'm just watching this opening sequence, and I'm like, oh, whoa, what's going on? He's got a razor blade. He's cutting up clippings. The words are moving everywhere. Oh, there's Morgan Freeman's name. I know he's a detective in this. Wait, there's Brad Pitt's name. I know he's a detective. Like, it's what's going on?
Is Kevin Spacey in that one?
Yeah, Kevin Spacey is in the movie. His name shows up at the very end of that title sequence. The other movie, and I know you have a better list. You're gonna have a much longer, and I'm gonna have to think about this now if I can think of any other movie. I thought of this one because it's not just the opening credits, it's something that they do throughout the entire movie. Now, this is a movie I can recommend to people. There is blood and guts type of thing, but it's not like super over the top, and it's zombies anyway, so I don't know if it's the movie Zombieland,
yes,
which is rated PG-13. So kids, if you're 13 years old, you can see that movie. That's fine, whatever. That's a great movie. I love the movie, but the opening sequence, what I love about the titles and the names and everything is that they're part of the movie. In other words, so you're watching an opening sequence and it's about zombies taking over the world, and these people who are left behind are living in Zombieland, and it's a horror comedy. It is a funny movie. Like, you will laugh throughout the movie. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was very well done. And like, they show somebody's name across the screen, and they're showing a zombie like running and like runs through the name. So the titles have a physicality to them as if they're part of the world. So it's like a van, like a lady like driving full speed in a van to get away from zombies, and it's in slow motion, and they show like the name of the director, and she like drives through the letters, and the letters break open as it's so well done. It's so memorable, and the entire time you're just kind of like looking at all this, and you're just kind of like, I'm already laughing on the inside because I'm like, this is funny. I'm like, I don't know why it's funny, but it's funny to me. And
it's this serious. All the situations are like serious and intense because there's like, it's life and death. If you don't get away from the zombie, you will die. But there's a sense of humor to each of it.
Exactly.
And it's not like, Bozo the Clown humor, like, but it's,
Exactly. So those are my two. If you start saying I'm sure we can have.
So here we go. Here's one that I know that you'll like. I know you've seen Pink Panther.
Oh, son of a gun! I would have picked that one if I thought of it. That is an amazing one. Now, the one that you're talking about the Return of the Pink Panther.
So I'm actually talking about the first one, Pink Panther, because So Pink Panther. So I remember when I had asked you when I was.
By the way, for all the people who live in this generation, we're not talking about the Steve Martin remake.
Exactly right.
Okay, so these should be you should probably preference with that.
This is the
Pink
Panther.
The original Pink Panther movie with what was the actor's name? I can't think of his name.
The director's
now.
Blake Edwards, and the actor it's amazing because that guy was so famous. Oh my gosh.
It's all right. We can always consult the book of Google.
Yeah, exactly. Consult the
which
the
is
book
always
of Google.
which is always you go ahead and continue on with talking about the title sequence.
The opening title credits are an animated thing of the Pink Panther, and the cartoon series, the Pink Panther, actually was a spin-off from those credits because the credits did so well. So the cartoon didn't exist before the movie. The movie existed first, and then the credits came from it. So and it's interesting, the Pink Panther, again, we're talking the original series, and then the Return of the Pink Panther, the opening title credits, even though they're the same style, they're flipped because in the Pink Panther, all this negative stuff happens to the actual Pink Panther who's walking around putting the titles up. And then in Return of the Pink Panther, all of the stuff is happening to Inspector Clouseau, and they're being committed on him by the Pink Panther. So it's almost like he's getting his revenge. So I found those that one and then those two to be really, really neat ones. Did you remember?
Which, by the way, I did find the information while you were looking. Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers, that's right.
I don't know why I couldn't think of that.
I know. It's
hilarious, dude. Hilarious, dude, by the way. So, so that was a good, that's definitely, I can't believe I didn't even think of that one. See, now I'm going to be like racking my brain like the rest of this episode, just trying to think of more. So I'm trying to think, like, do I just throw out like the easy ones, or do I throw out ones that are like I found kind of unique and hope that you think up? Do you have more that are on your list that are not part of like your list of ones that were memorable, but just like ones like, hey, like most people I heard about this one. Like, yeah, most people may know this one. Okay, like so all of the ones on my list I've seen, with the exception of one. Well, I saw the film. With all of them, I saw the film. Whether I liked it or not is another matter. However, this one that I'm about to mention, I never saw the film, but I do remember in doing my research when this was one of the hits that came up, and I thought, wow, those are really, really well done credits. And that's
the 2009 version of Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. And it's done in this sort of a animated newspaper-y type, where the scenes happen sort of in a newspaper, but then they kind of freeze. So like if somebody hits somebody on the jaw, like they're doing a little pugilist fight, and Sherlock Holmes will hit the guy who's fighting on the jaw, and the guy's head will kind of turn to the side, and he'll spit blood out, and the blood will kind of splatter on the paper, and
I know what you're talking about.
There like that, yeah. So I thought, and it's it's like kind of clues and things that are going on through that, and I thought this is really it's engaging, right? You're one of these things where you're like you're sucked in by this, and you're watching this, and you're like, cool, and it. Like you're talking about all of these credits that we've mentioned so far, so that the Sherlock Holmes, the Pink Panther, Seven, and what was the what was the other one? The first one that you mentioned? Oh, and Zombieland. They all set the tone for what you're about to see.
What you're about to see.
Right. So none of them are just kind of like dink letters on the screen or whatnot. They all have they lead you, they're preparing you for it, which is, I believe, is what opening credits should do. So I thought, even though I've never seen the film, I thought this is well done.
So now that you were looking at that, since I already kind of cheated and I pulled up the book of Google.
No, that's fine.
You didn't necessarily say I couldn't cheat with that.
No, that's fine. Exactly.
I figured I would go and see if I could remind myself of any movies, and there were two that came up that I've seen both of these movies. I'll go with the one that I don't think is as impressive. When I say it's not as impressive, I still think it's a good opening sequence. I just thought it was really, really cool. And that was it's an older movie, but I've seen it many, many times. Love it every single time I see it. It's an old Clint Eastwood movie.
Oh yeah,
probably his most famous one of all time.
Another one.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Yep. The opening sequence to the movie is a series of like stills of backgrounds with pictures of faces and things like that, and then like big splash art comes across the screen like saying the bad, and it says the person's name or something like that. And then there's one sequence where like a horse comes across, but that wasn't one of the two that I just found in doing my quick little research here while you were talking. I was totally paying attention though, not just totally paying attention to what you were saying.
Whatever
so
you
if
say,
you rewind
man.
that,
That's cool.
Just go back
I like that one
say,
too.
So the one that I found.
Wait, hold on. One of the great things about the opening credits too, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, is I was leaving that for you, but the music. No. That music is so iconic. All you have to do is hear that, and you instantly know Good, Bad, Ugly, or Clint Eastwood.
Well, you do that now,
right?
But I'm saying we're talking about it. I'm kind of more talking about at the time.
Yeah.
But you are correct. You do know that now, is that the music is so iconic at this point that you already know what you're getting yourself into as soon as you start that movie. You're like, man, here we go. Clint Eastwood's about to take on the whole world by himself.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's that Western sort of lonely gunslinger thing, yeah.
So the best one. Now, you talked about an animated one. You talked about the Pink Panther, which I think the Pink Panther is really well done. But I think there was one that may come close to topping it. And that was the original Disney's Robin Hood that came out in 1973.
Oh, wow. This is the one with the foxes, the robins or the foxes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It starts off with the rooster who is in a book. He's in the book of Robin Hood, and he's telling the story. This is the story about Robin Hood or whatever. And like he was walking along the words and everything. And then they cut to little... You get to see almost all of the characters, even though you haven't seen the movie yet, you don't know much about them, and they're just introducing them. It's like, so-and-so as Little John, type of thing. Blah, blah, blah as Friar Tuck or whatever, right. And they're going through some of the characters. But you get a small glimpse, of all these characters, and it's so colorful and playful, and it sets the mood at a very light tone, even though if you know anything about Robin Hood as an adult, or anything about, the stories about Robin Hood, whether he was real or not, which I don't even know. Is it true that nobody knows if he was actually real?
No, they suspect
wasn't he just based off of like myths of multiple people that may have done something?
Right, yep.
Okay. So the interesting thing about Robin Hood, about that opening sequence, is that if you know anything about those times and why it was so hard and everything, then you watch this opening sequence, and it immediately changes your mind and your tone for the entire movie. So that's one of the things.
I like that. That one is really colorful. That's a really colorful one, and it's not
very colorful.
Yeah, it's 72, So it's a different sort of colorful than like what we see today of like a Pixar or something like that.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
really neat. It really is a beautiful.
Very different type of film altogether.
That's a good one, man. That's a good catch. That was a good one. I remember. I remember that, but I didn't. That was 73 or so, or 72, and that's just so long since I've seen that. My gosh.
So did you have what were the other ones of the ones that are on your
so I gotta
list?
So obviously you could pick any of the opening title credits to James Bond. Pick any of the James Bond movies. I didn't go back and pick a specific one, but this is actually. So it was funny because I was dog sitting for your family, and I was sitting there one night, and Skyfall was on. Skyfall.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's these opening credits that come on, and I'm watching it, and I go, man, these James Bond films, they always do an excellent job on the opening credits. And then that's bing, this seed was planted for the topic of episode 243.98176 or whatever episode this is.
So this is when you got the idea.
That's when I got the idea.
This.
So, so I don't even remember if we had anyway. So, and I thought, oh man, I did enjoy that one. And then the Casino Royale opening title credits are good. Those are some good ones. So anyway, that's for James Bond. Reservoir Dogs. Have you seen this movie, Reservoir Dogs?
No. I think I've wanted to see this movie, but I haven't seen it yet.
I recommend this to anybody who really enjoys a good story. It's a crime sort of drama mystery story. Gabriel Byrne is in that. Benicio del Toro. Alec Baldwin's brother Stephen, I believe. There's like 9.
Stephen Baldwin. Baldwin. Yeah,
he's in that.
Yeah.
Chaz Palmieri, I think, is in it. So it's, and I really kind of can't tell you anything about it without spoiling it, really, because it's.
So don't spoil it.
You have to watch it from the very beginning to the very end. Or
it's on my list. It's on my list of movies
good,
I need to see.
Because if you tune in the middle of it, you've ruined it. You literally have ruined it. However, at the beginning, the opening title credits is, so there's a detective played by Chaz Palmieri, and he's trying to solve this kind of a murder case. It was anyway. I don't want to get into it too much. So the opening credits are sort of all of these clues, videos, confessions, mugshots of, and case notes of files, and the credits are in there. So when they go to like the credit that says Kevin Spacey, they open like Kevin Spacey's file, his mugshot's there, and it says Kevin Spacey, and there's like all these stats on him, like height, weight, da 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 da. And then
that's cool.
It is cool. And so it's connected by like, you know how you would see like a pin on a map, and you would have string tied to it, and it would go down to another pin and up to another pin, so you could say like, hey, these are where all the murders took place or the crimes took place on the city map. So it's really, really well done. So the minute you're watching this, okay, so I understand, I know, because I've quote unquote seen a preview that I've come to watch a sort of murder crime mystery. But now you're like, okay, so this is really, really an in-depth detail one. And it's not one that's going to, that you have to sit there and go, I got to watch this 6 times to understand it. You watch it once, and at the end of the film, it's very similar to M. Night Shyamalan's, what's the one with Bruce Willis? Shyamalama Ding Dong. What is it? I don't remember.
I don't know how to pronounce it either, but it's not Shamalot. That's like,
Camelot.
What are you trying to say? Like Hamlet or Hamlet or something? I'm trying to.
I want to say M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
It's not James Cameron. It's James Camlot. It's not J.J. Abrams. It's J.J. Abramlot.
It's Adam Ant. J.J. Adam Ant. Shamnon?
It's not George Lucas.
Whatever
it's
the
George
guy's
Lucalot.
So it's what's the film with Bruce Willis? Not Unbreakable. The one where he I see dead people.
Oh, that's The Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense. So it's very much like that, where at the very end, when the whole thing is revealed, you go, wait, no, can't be. But then when you go back and you watch the whole film, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't see that. You overlooked things because you wanted to believe, A instead of B. And so Usual Suspects is very much like that. So it's not one of these things where you have to watch it like 6 times to go, wait, okay, so which guy double crossed and who is the dude who went? There's none, right? But it is very in depth because a lot of it is being told, right? This guy is trying to unravel the mystery of what happened during this murder crime by a suspect who is telling them, hey, let me tell you the story. blah, 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 blah. So he's putting all these pieces together. And so you have to pay attention to like, okay, that guy. And then at the very end, you're like, no way. But then when you go back and you watch it again, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I can totally see it now. And so that's why you have to see it from the very beginning. Otherwise, it just kind of ruins it.
Sure.
So I
have another one.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
I don't know if I didn't want to cut you off, but I got another one.
That's pretty much all I had for Usual Suspects.
Okay. So I've got another one, and I think you've seen this movie, but if you haven't seen it, it's not going to ruin anything by talking about it, because I know you know about the movie, even if you haven't seen the movie. But I thought about it while we were sitting here talking, and that is Watchmen.
Yes,
the opening sequence to Watchmen.
Yeah.
Do you remember how they did that?
Yeah. Yes, that was great. That's
so all slow motion.
James Dillon. His name's not
Bob
James
Dylan.
Dillon. Bob Dylan. Oh my gosh. Apparently, I have a name problem. James Dillon. Right now, there's some guy listening to the show. That's me. He just mentioned me. My name is James Dillon.
Okay, so the song is "The Times Are A-Changing" by Bob Dylan, which came out about the same time of when the story is supposed to be taking place, and it's all done in slow motion.
No, actually, so I think his song came out like a decade or two after it all started happening, because the film the film takes place when Nixon's president, but it starts way prior to that. Remember when they had flashbulb photography?
That's true. Okay, you're right. Okay, so you're probably right. It probably starts a decade before his thing, but it goes through and it gets all the way up to
so like
closer
to
present
when the
day.
Actual movie takes place is when Bob Dylan's really at his peak. Yeah,
exactly. And it's really the opening sequence is just so cool because it's all done in slow motion, and you're just seeing they're not stills. They're in motion, but they're just moving so slowly that it almost looks like they're stills. But the way the camera worked is that it's like going around. So they'll like show, if you don't know anything about the Watchmen, it's basically about a bunch of misfit superheroes, if you will.
Perfect.
Like people who just that's probably the best way to describe it, right? It's a bunch of misfit.
How would you describe this movie? 2 words: misfit superheroes. Right, but it's not a comedy. It's literally
not comedy.
Dysfunctional is the perfect word for it, because these guys are like, oh my God, I don't want to be anywhere near you. Please don't rescue me.
So you just grab these people who have powers, or if they don't have powers, they're just willing to fight, type of thing, and they're willing to put their body through, intense situations. But there's not a whole lot of organization. There's not a whole lot of justice behind it. Right. They kind of all are seeking after their own desires, and then there's very little regulation with it as it goes on. And that's what you're watching in the sequence, is you're watching these characters go from their prime to now they're banned, type of thing, right? I think that's what it is.
Yeah, they outlawed all masks.
They outlawed all masks. Yeah, people. Yeah, the superheroes. But they're showing like stills of some of these characters when they're younger, and there's like this one of this guy like swinging a punch, and he's like punching a dude, and it's in slow motion, and the guy is shooting a gun, and then you see the gun like eventually go off, and he's shooting it up in a different direction than because he just got punched in the face. And then behind it, it's like, words like saying like, I don't know, I was going to say Walt Disney Presents, but I don't think Walt Disney produced that movie. So I don't know who it is. I think maybe it's Warner or something, 20th Century Fox. I don't know, something like that. I don't think it was Disney. But that one is really well done, because even it then even shows redone things about history too. Yes. Like in the middle of it shows the JFK assassination. Right. And it shows you like who actually killed him, type of thing, and kind of how that, took control of leadership in the United States at that time. If you're not an American, you may not know anything about who JFK was, but I'm assuming most people may know his name. If you don't, he was a president of the United States who was assassinated during his middle of his second term, or was he in his first term at the time?
I don't recall. I think it was his first term. Because
it was still his first term.
Johnson, who was VP, took over. I think it was his first term. So that's an interesting one, because that does what Lord of the Rings does during the opening credits. So Lord of the Rings, so there's the very first Lord of the Rings, which is Fellowship of the Ring.
I'm gonna have to call you out on that. I'm gonna say I think you're wrong. I don't think they show credits in the opening sequence.
No, they don't. But that's why I say it does. It does what it does in the opening titles. So in Lord of the Rings, the opening scene is them telling the story about the rings, right?
Okay.
So they like, hey, the rings for the dwarves, rings for the elves. So it gives you a backstory, and it tells you this is the world that you are now in, right? Whereas Watchmen does all of that, gives you the history, the backstory of the world that you're about to be deposited in. All of that is in the opening title screen, right? So there's not this extra time of you sitting through blah, 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 whatever. Not that I was against the Lord of the Rings for doing that, but it's really cool. You're watching this, and you're like, oh, cool. So you're watching literally history unfold, and then boom, present day.
Yeah, that's really well done. I need to go watch that movie again. I actually really liked that movie. I thought it was very well done.
Really, there's some aspects about it I was just kind of like, you do. You have to realize like, these are not.
It's not one of those movies where it's not a perfect movie, but it's not a bad movie either.
Right. It's not about it's not about like Superman, Batman.
Well, actually,
Captain America.
It's funny you mentioned that because
the
they're coming out this summer.
Like Iron Man, Licentious Joe, Trash Can Pete, whatever, right? Because they're all these flawed maniac sort of.
I don't remember what they're all named.
I know. I remember their names. I'm just trying to give a description of their characters. They're not
Blue Naked Dude.
There's comedian, Naked Dude. Blue Naked Dude was Manhattan.
Mr. Manhattan.
Mr. Manhattan. There was the Night Owl, Vixen, something Vicious Vixen or something like that. Vixen.
I think it was just Vixen.
Osmandius, Rorschach. Yeah, and the comedian was the whole thing centers around the comedian. All right, so I just have a few more. I'm just going to list some of these that are like honorable mentions for me. Because we're nearing.
Since we need to like wind down here.
So we could have, we could have been like, these are ones that didn't win the Texas Waffle Award for opening.
We couldn't have given. Well, no, we got to choose one at the end. Like you can't give it out to multiple.
All right, so let me just throw out a couple more. So Sin City.
Just these are the honor.
Did you see that? So as much as I didn't really enjoy the film,
that movie. Yeah.
The opening titles were really, really well done. I thought that was cool. Alien.
My favorite. I don't want to jump back to this. My favorite character in that movie, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone if you haven't seen it. So, what?
Marvin?
No. Was that his name? I don't remember.
It's
I don't
played by
remember the
Mickey
guy's
Rourke.
name. No, that's not the guy I'm talking about. My favorite. Oh, I know who Marvin. Yeah, I know who Marvin is. Okay, my favorite person was in the entire movie was the guy who didn't say anything in the whole movie. Elijah
Wood's character. Yeah, I'm not going to. You can't say who his character is without spoiling some of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything. Go ahead.
So Alien. I had Alien. I don't know if you ever saw the opening title for that.
I don't know if I've seen Alien.
12 Monkeys.
I don't remember how that opens up, but it's a good movie.
Catch Me If You Can. Opening title.
Oh, that is a good one. Oh, why didn't we think about that one? That should have made. Well, no, it's an honorable mention. I think the ones we've mentioned so far, at least most of them, have been home run grand slam hitters, and that one is, it's a good one, but I don't know if it's a great one.
And then, so I have two more, and these stay under the honorable mention category. One is Blade Runner. It's very people are going to sit there and go like, what? And I liked it because it was very, just real quick. It's just black. It's white letters on black. And so the very first thing is Harrison Ford. His name pops up. And the minute his name pops up, this music starts. And then the very next words that you see is all black and it's red, Blade Runner. And then that's when this music really takes a turn. And then that cuts off. And then it's just the whole thing is black with a white name will pop up. White name, Rucker Hauer, Sean Young, whoever's on there. And it's the way that this music kind of weaves the whole thing. So you look at that and you're like, what's so great about this? But as you hear the music and you're watching it, you're like, there's something that's going on, right? So because Harrison Ford, this guy plays our main character, and then the way the music starts, boom, he's the Blade Runner, and then the way this music goes as the other names pop up, you're like, something funky is up, man. And so my last honorable mention was.
I have no comment for that. Continue.
I thought it was actually, that was me. I'm allowed to have my own.
That's fine. No, that's why it's your opinion.
So my last honorable mention is The Player, where it's, I think, 9 minutes opening scene. It's all one shot and the credits appear throughout this opening scene. It's one shot. It's not cut. So the whole thing is this giant 9-minute tracking scene. So imagine
those are really well. I like those. Those are really they're called oneers, I think.
Yeah, imagine the kind of like having a Mr. Q's. So 12 Monkeys had don't you remember it had like all the like the monkey symbolism that was on it? It was like red and black. There were like the circles of the monkey spinning around. The monkey faces.
I'll have to go watch it. That was
Brad Pitt. Yeah, that's an excellent film. So those are.
But I still feel like not knowing, and now that you just showed that to me, now I'm kind of thinking it's a good thing that's just a honorable mention and not one of our candidates. So how about we do this? I can go back, I guess, through my list of the ones that I had, and I can tell you who's my. Well, I don't know. I don't know how do we pick a winner now? Because it's
so give me like two of your tops.
Two of my tops.
Yeah. What do you think? Like just go pick two.
That's so hard.
So did you go back and
actually? Okay, so Watchmen.
Watchmen
is definitely in there. I just think it's so well done. It tells you so much in an opening credits. And interesting enough, I'm not even joking about this. One of the Google searches that I did here while we were talking, I just wrote down best opening credit sequences just to see what the Book of Google thought about them. I mean, this is an article that I found. I found an article called Den of Geek.
Because Greek
I've never
has
been
got
here
so
before.
much to do.
I've never been here before. Maybe people know this. There's a link at the top. Seek a Geek Dating. Oh my gosh!
Love it.
Okay. Anyway, one of these things was it was basically talking about the top opening things. Alien was one of them. Alien was in there.
Yeah, Alien's well done.
Some of the other ones that were mentioned that was in there was the Robin Hood one was in there.
That's well done.
Also, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was in there. But guess what they had at the top? Now, I don't think they numbered these necessarily, but it was just one of the first ones that they mentioned. 7 was in there.
Oh, was it in there?
And I had already said it before I even pulled it up, and I was just
book.
like, that's really cool, because they just had like one image on there, and I looked at it, I'm like, that's 7. I know that. I recognize that from that opening sequence.
It is. Okay, it's well done. I personally don't like it because it's too like psychotic for me, but you're right. It's very, I can appreciate that. I'm like, that's well done.
I don't know. I feel like it really gets you
really
into the
well
movie.
done. It does.
I feel like it definitely sets the mood.
So grab like 3, and they have to be 3 that you've seen.
No. I just grabbed 2. I'm just going to pick 2.
Okay, so you're going to pick 2.
So my contenders. No, I'll give you 3. That's fine. I'll give you 3. My contenders are Robin Hood.
So initially,
Watchmen.
Initially, I was going to say we take 2 and then flip a coin, but now I don't know how we'll flip a 3-sided coin.
Oh, I thought
no. That's called
you
pick
have
your
to
3.
pick. No. You have to pick. You have to pick some. So we're gonna have. Okay, how about we do this? How about you pick 2? I'll pick 2. We'll flip a coin, and whichever one is your winner goes to the final round, and whichever one's my winner goes to the final round.
All right, that's fair. That's cool. I like that. But tell me who your third one was going to be.
My third one was, I wanted to have Robin Hood in there, and now I'm going to take Robin Hood out.
Oh, you're taking Robin Hood out?
Yeah, in comparison to Watchmen and 7, I don't think it's better. Now I'm trying to look for a coin. I don't have a quarter, but I got a penny. We'll flip a penny.
That'll work.
Okay. So who are your 2 front runners?
I think I'm going to go with this is a tough one because there's so many good James Bond ones. So I think what I do is I'm going to just say James Bond in general.
Oh, no, you can't do that. It's got to be one of them.
What?
Does it make this podcast any? Are we going to lose fans if I say that I don't like James Bond?
No, we'll ditch James Bond then because you're right. I think it's fair. We got to be something specific because that's too much power to just say any of these under that category.
Yeah.
You're right. No, that's fair enough.
Shouldn't even flip a coin if you're going to do that.
Okay, so I'm going to go with Catch Me If You Can.
I thought that was one of your runner-ups.
Was it? It was one of my runners-up. You pick 4 and we'll flip 4.
No. Pick 2. Pick your 2 favorites.
Oh, my 2.
Said Pink Panther.
I want to say. I want to say
them.
that this is my favorite, but I can't find it anywhere online. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, and it's The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. And if I'm
just say that. Just say that. That's fine. We're going to flip a coin anyway. It's all by chance.
Okay, because if it's what I remember it is, I'm like, it's awesome. I love it. So so that's going to be The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. And,
which no one's probably ever heard of or ever
seen.
No,
they're like, what? Your brother. I showed it to your brothers. They loved it after we watched Time Bandits.
I need to go. I need to see this movie. But anyway,
Ask
what was
them.
your
They were
second
like,
one?
"Oh, Time Bandits and Adventures of Barry Moonchild." They loved it, so they loved it.
What's your second one?
Oh man, my second one is I'll go with Pink Panther.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna flip mine coin first. Watchmen is heads, and 7 is tails, and we'll see. I'm just gonna catch it, not flip it. Okay. What did I say was tails?
Watchmen was heads.
Watchmen was head, and 7 was tails.
Right.
Okay, so 7 is gonna go to the finals.
Okay, so this I'm using a coaster from my hereditary last name from Ireland. So the tails obviously is this Cork side.
Absolutely.
Which my family's not from Cork, oddly enough. Da-dun-dum, psh, and so the head is the crest. All right, so
whose heads?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even say whose heads.
Whose heads?
Heads is Baron Munchausen. Yeah, here we go.
And tails
we're doing the flip thing here.
Okay.
Oh no, it's tails. So tails is I totally forgot what my other one was. Baron Munchausen.
No, it was Pink Panther. Pink Panther. Pink
they were both Baron Munchausen.
The Pink Pauser. I don't know. They were both Baron Munchausen in the movie.
Pink Baron and
okay,
Munchausen.
so here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to flip a coin now.
You flip for both, yeah.
And you call it in the air. Okay. So we're not going to pick a side for either one of them. So yours is, if you call it right, then it's Pink Panther. If you call it wrong, then it's 7.
Okay, that's a great idea.
So I'm going to flip it. I'm not going to, when I catch it, I'm not going to flip it on my hand. I'm just going to catch it, whatever it is. Okay.
Yep.
So you call it in the air. Here we go. Go.
Tails.
It's tails.
Yeah,
right.
Tails never fails.
All right, tails. I've never heard that phrase before, but all right. Okay, so, and the first ever Texas Waffles Award for best opening credits in a movie goes to the Pink Panther.
Yay!
Brendan, thank you for the nomination. You don't get to do the acceptance speech though, because you didn't create this. Credits,
okay.
I think we should probably wrap things up here. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say at the end?
I just want to say that this is the tastiest award that I have ever received. And
you didn't receive the award. You nominated. You don't get the awards.
This is the tastiest
for being
award
the
I've ever handed out. Can I say that?
Okay, you could say that. Did you take a bite out of it before you gave the award out?
No.
Although
I did go through many awards before I found this one. There were several. I had to do QA. Or what do they call that? Quality review? Assurance.
Yeah, quality assurance.
Yeah, that's what I did. That was a taste tester for
I think it's QA, yeah.
All right, I've said enough.
Speaking of Texas Waffles, before we go, one thing, we mentioned it in the last episode, but I'm sure most people know about it already. Our Twitter handle is at Texas Waffles. I know that doesn't really have anything to do with this show, but whatever. It's kind of the fun part about it. If you guys get an opportunity to, please send us a question. Also, if you guys like what you hear, please give us a rating and a review on iTunes. It means a lot to us. It lets us know what we can improve on, what we can do better. But most importantly, if you love the show, that's how we know that you love it, is by giving us a good review and giving us, 5 stars, I think is the way that they do the rating scale. It's probably going to change eventually, but it's been 5 stars for a long time. So we'll leave it at that. Brendan, you started this show. You should be the one finishing. I don't know why I'm the one talking now. I should pass this back to you.
You do all that. I don't know any of our hashtagables, so you're the one who does all the hashtag.
Brendan does not get on social media like ever, which I kind of wish I didn't either. I kind of wish I avoided it altogether. But anyway, that's it. That's it for me.
Okay, this episode's done.